Welcome to another session of Healing, Health and Happiness. It's my pleasure to have Wendy Saunders with me today. Wendy is from Govinda Valley, a beautiful, relaxing place in Otford, and Heart and Soul Care, a non-profit organisation. Welcome, Wendy.
Hi, Reetu.
How are you, Wendy? In this lockdown, we haven't been able to see each other.
Yes, it's been an interesting time. Actually, for the last few weeks, I was planning on having a break, so it's worked out very well for myself. But I am working towards some new projects. So
you've got time to work on those projects now.
Yeah, so I can work from home on those projects.
Okay. Well, Wendy, what we really want to talk about it, I believe you've had a long but amazing healing and health transformation. Can you enlighten us with all of that, please?
Okay, so my healing journey actually started when I was in the US, which was over 20 years ago. I went through a divorce, which led to my journey of self-realization. So some of the influences I had in the US were initially it was Deepak Chopra. And
that's the master.
He started my journey, just making me realize there was another life to be lived. So I was searching for a while. I also came across the Self-Realization Society in San Diego and Los Angeles. But what I decided to do after a few years of searching, I decided to come back to Australia to continue my search, having family here, of course. So one of the first organizations I came across was the Brahma Kumaris. Which I've continued to visit on numerous occasions for their retreats and workshops.
That's near Picton, is that correct?
Yeah, so that's the one up here, but in Melbourne, the retreat is in Frankston, outside of Frankston. So that was really helpful. And so that was say 20 years ago. And then about 10 years ago, I embarked on another level of my journey. And I decided to study ecotourism because I wanted to travel Australia.
Okay.
And to learn a lot more than what I had known because I'd been gone for over 20 years.
So can I just stop you there? Can you explain what is ecotourism?
Yeah, so ecotourism is like ordinary tourism, but it also includes a lot more of the environmental aspects, sustainability, culture,
right,
heritage. So all of those subjects were extremely interesting to me, especially the heritage. So what happened through my time at Govinda Valley is that I was actually able to create events around those subjects, such as the National Trust Heritage Festival, which is held annually prior to COVID.
We look forward to it next year.
Yeah. So what I did, I got on the road, and unfortunately or fortunately, I had an accident. It was a wild goose attack. And I immediately thought, well, the universe didn't want me to go in that direction. Well, after a year, my shoulder had not healed. And I decided instead of having another operation, that I would try yoga, because when I was around 20, I did hurt my back slightly, and that kept my back healthy for many, many years. So I thought, well, maybe yoga can help this. So I decided to enroll in a diploma of yogic studies in Victoria at the Rockland Ashram. And within 3 months, fortunately, my shoulder had healed.
Hang on. Within 3 months, your yoga had healed. Your shoulder had healed.
My shoulder had healed.
yoga was the only thing, or do you reckon there was other factors in healing your shoulder?
Well, the wonderful thing about the decision I made was that the ashram was a traditional yogic ashram.
Okay.
And that included the diet, meditation, mantra, and of course physical asanas. But it was a complete lifestyle. So it also included karma yoga, which included gardening, cooking, maintenance. It was a full lifestyle. So that really intrigued me.
It's intriguing me now, because yoga and gardening you're talking about?
Yeah.
That's part of yoga. Okay.
Yeah, so that's part of karma yoga, because it's a service that you're giving, selfless service.
Selfless service. Oh, wow. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So for you, yoga is just not the physical exercise.
Right.
You talked about traditional yoga, which includes diet,
Right.
meditation,
Yes.
and karma yoga for you was gardening, physical postures. So it's a holistic.
Yeah, it's a holistic lifestyle. So that's what I was ready for at that stage of my life, because my ecotourism career had been destroyed almost because I couldn't get on the road. And over the years, I just felt that the fact that I was very, very healthy all my life, that maybe I could veer in this direction of a healthy career. So in the process of healing, I also, of course, thought about Deepak and all the books that he had introduced me to on Ayurveda. So I always felt that it was very, very interesting, but very complex. But what happened when I was recouping, I did happen to go to the library, and I did find an Ayurvedic book that made sense to me. It was simply set out. And from that point, I did study Ayurveda in Melbourne. And so what they do say, though, is the ideal process is to learn Ayurveda, because that is about the body.
Right.
It teaches you about your unique constitution. And then the yoga comes, because by knowing your body inside and out, that's when you can determine what type of yoga suits your body.
Because it'd be different for different people.
Yes. So fortunately, the yoga that I chose was the style that I needed. So it's very gentle. And when you're at a certain age, it's good to have yoga that's not going to cause any injuries and to affect the joints. So the style of yoga that I did, Hatha yoga, has kept my joints healthy. And that was my primary reason for wanting to continue yoga, was to prevent arthritis, because the surgeon did say I will get arthritis. So what the lifestyle has allowed me to do is to try to prevent arthritis through exercise, diet, and lifestyle. So the diet, of course, is very important too.
Okay. So do you have arthritis, or you've avoided that?
I'm on the prevention plan.
On the prevention. Okay. As they say, prevention is better than cure. So well done.
No, it's just the surgeon said I would get it with this injury. But I do have it in the family, and grew up with a great aunt that was bedridden with arthritis. So, it's well within my being that I would prefer to prevent it than to receive it. But living up here in New South Wales, very mild temperate weather, that's part of my prevention strategy also, because Ayurveda does teach us that where you live does make a difference to your health. So everyone has to determine where the best place is for them to reside as well. So for many years, I did live in the deserts in Arizona and California, and I actually felt that was an excellent move, because I did have a few feelings of arthritis growing up. Ballarat and Melbourne are very cold. That's where I was born and grew up. And So the California dry desert, I felt had actually dried out the joints a little bit.
Oh.
And when I came back to Australia, I didn't have any problems with joints in Melbourne. And I do find that if it's a little bit cold, there's a little inkling of pain. And then all I have to do is warm up and start moving and sit in the sun. That's one of my best. That's actually an Ayurvedic technique of healing is sun therapy. That was
Sun
one.
therapy. Well,
Yeah, traditional.
a lot of people talk about at the moment heat therapy and cold therapy.
Yeah.
And looks like what you've done is you've got a balance of those two now.
Yes. Yes.
And you've gone to the nature for sun to get your help
It doesn't
you
have
heal.
to be outside, but what I like to do, especially in winter, is to soak up the sun indoors. It's just the heat, and of course that gives you the vitamin D too. So
that's right.
All around.
So vitamin D is helpful for our health, the bones.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
you've got it all covered, looks like it.
So prior to the heat therapy that I learned about in Ayurveda, the therapy that I did enjoy primarily in the US, and when I got back to Melbourne, is water therapy, spas. And of course, in Europe, there's a lot of natural spas, such as Baden-Baden.
Spas.
Yeah, okay. Baden-Baden is a prime example in Germany, and also in Belgium, where I lived. The town of Spa was within half an hour from my home. So, of course, I frequented Spa quite a lot.
Well, I envy you. And now you've gone from America to Australia to Europe with all the spas. Yeah. So you've traveled quite a bit, looks like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, in Melbourne, they've got one of the best spas, which is in Mornington Peninsula, the Mornington Peninsula Hot Springs. So they're fantastic.
Be there. All right. Well, when this lockdown gets over, I think something to look forward to.
Yes.
So Wendy, I want to ask you specifically, in this lockdown, all of us are stuck indoors.
Mm-hmm.
It is quite hard. And not only have we extended lockdown here in New South Wales, okay, there could be further lockdowns that we hear.
Yes.
In your yoga practice or your lifestyle, can you give us what we can do to help with our stress and our anxiety and a little bit of down that we all feel?
Good question. Of course, one of the most important teachings in yoga is being present and being aware. And that's one of the first things that I learned when I was in Rockland. They actually introduced a book called Yoga with Attitude. And when I read that, I just felt this is exactly what I need, because I needed to have more focus in my life. So, as I said, there's more to yoga than just physical asanas. So, yoga with attitude, awareness.
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 You said be present here. How do you do that with, the mind's running, what's going to happen, what shall I do, when is this lockdown going to end? Yeah. Is it ever going to end? I am stuck indoors.
Yeah, it's all about enjoying the moment. And of course, I have lived at Govinda Valley for the last 6 years, so I've had a lot of opportunities to live on the awareness plane, because your whole life is doing that.
What's awareness? What do we have to be aware of?
Well, it's to be aware that you need to stay in the present moment. So when I first started yoga, people would say, "Do you meditate every day?" And I would say to them, the yoga that I've been taught teaches us to meditate from the second that you wake up to the minute that you go to sleep. So again, that's just being aware. of what you're doing. So
Oh,
being aware is actually meditating.
being aware is actually meditating.
Yeah, because when you're meditating, say you're sitting there saying, well, now I'm meditating, and then you find that your mind wanders. When you bring it back to the present moment, that's when you're in the present and being aware that your mind has wandered.
Okay.
So coming back to the present moment and having that process take place is meditation.
What I'm meditating, the things comes to me is, what do I have to cook?
Yeah. So
It's cooking time.
yeah. So say you were supposed to be doing this, and then you thought of cooking, and then you thought, oh, I shouldn't be thinking of that. I need to be thinking of what I'm doing here. That's meditating. That's awareness. So the practice of that helps to put yourself in a very positive light, because that's what life is all about, is to be happy, and to be happy is to live in the present moment. As many, many, many teachers have taught us over the decades since I've been learning. Eckhart Tolle was the very, very first one that taught us.
That's right.
And
So,
the list goes on.
but you know what? It's easier said than done. So can I ask you, you've mastered it? Or
No,
you're...
no, I still work at it. For many, many years, I didn't consciously work at it. But having left Govinda Valley now, I do have to consciously work at it, because I'm in the real world again. And Valley was, is a center of spiritual learnings, and so you're constantly being in that place, or being in the moment.
So with practice, you get better and better and
well,
better.
Knowledge also. As I said, I did read a book on this subject when I first arrived at the ashram, and it absolutely helped me. And then what I realized is that Buddhism is very, very close to the yogic teachings.
Okay.
So if you study Buddhist meditation, it's very, very similar to the yoga. And I just read this morning, actually, that the yoga meditations do take you to a deeper place with practice. The yoga teachings are very complex, and it does take time. But that's one of the reasons I stuck with my diploma, is because I was very interested in what those different meditations were.
Okay, so there can be different meditations to suit different lifestyles?
No, the meditation in yoga is the level of inner awareness and consciousness that you are working towards.
Okay, all right.
And they're quite complex.
Okay, so let me just break it up. We can meditate to help with our stress, anxiety, and depression.
Yes.
But it also helps us by being aware of what is happening internally.
Yes.
And to raise a level of consciousness.
Yes.
Okay, so many benefits of meditation here.
Yes.
But I'd advise you to have a good teacher as well, because sometimes meditation can take you, open you in dark places.
Yeah. Well, I still have teachers, but I try to keep it as simple as possible. Okay. So you're in a place, you're say just looking outside, focusing, and then it may be 2, 3, 10 minutes later you go, oh, I'm supposed to be in the present, but I'm thinking about all these other things. Just bringing it back is all you need to do. That is the simplest thing.
That's the simplest
that
thing
everyone can do.
Okay, so just remind us again, you said meditation is the awareness of the present moment. Okay, so we just bring it back. So, and you mentioned right from the time we get up to the time we go, it's all meditation. It's all being aware.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like that part.
That's what the very first thing that I learned at the ashram was
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you if you have another practice that can help us with our stress and anxiety of the lockdown, because that would take some time, I reckon, with this awareness, and not that easy to do.
Yeah. Well, another major practice in yoga is breathing.
Okay.
And I do have my diploma of yogic studies, but I don't actually teach, because the work that I do at Govinda Valley is actually projects.
Yes.
But on a personal level, and with the different classes that I attend, breathing is the key also to reduce stress. So there's numerous types of breathing, but the very simple key one is, as we all know, is just to sit and relax and to have a deep breath.
Okay.
Okay, so from there, the different timings of breath is what yogis do.
Okay.
And that is a little complex also, but if I could just demonstrate possibly.
Sure.
So with the timings, and so if you would breathe in and say 1, 2, 3, 4, and stop, and then you breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4, and you stop for a second, and then breathing in till 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, stop for a second, and then breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this can continue up to about the number of 8. If you did that for half an hour, your stress level would come down markedly.
Okay.
And that's pretty simple, but it's one of the traditional breathing methods in yoga.
Okay.
And what it actually does, which I find is really, really interesting, is that process actually deactivates the sympathetic nervous system and activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So the fight flight is deactivated and the rest and digest is activated.
Activated.
You couldn't do anything simpler than that breath.
And you can do it anywhere,
Anywhere.
anytime, no cost.
Exactly.
Okay.
So some of these practices are so simple, anyone can do them. But sometimes if you're studying, it takes years to find out what you need and the simple practice that you can do without necessarily having a teacher with you full time. And I have done quite a few courses. Last year, I did a resilience course during COVID.
Right.
It's
Okay.
from the US. And I knew about this practice, but again, she put it down so simply on a sheet of paper, and this is what you have to do to reduce stress in times of COVID.
Okay.
So I would suggest that particular one, and you don't have to go up to 8. All you can do is up to say 4 is the suggested starting amount number, and then there are of course many other breathing practices in yoga too, but that's the one I would suggest.
Yeah, and now the medical journals, the scientific journals are all saying how breath work can help you reduce stress, anxiety, and so on. So thank you for that, Wendy.
You're welcome.
3. Number 3, what can you tell us? So we've had the first 2. Give us another practice that could help us.
Well, what I like to do with my new life outside of Govinda Valley is I do like to go for hikes in the bush.
Okay. Right.
I'm a member of a bushwalking club.
Okay.
And this relates also to something I was introduced to last year by a practitioner, which is nature therapy. Of course, we all know that nature is therapy, but they've scientifically proven that it works. So again, what we do in our retreats at Heart and Soul Care, our trauma healing retreats, is that we offer nature healing walks. And of course, we introduce the meditation, which is, again, being aware. Now, then you add on nature to that awareness, and it's virtually everything that you hear, see, touch, smell, taste, all the elements.
Your environment is really important.
Yes. So so that's yoga in itself, bringing in all of the elements. Yoga is a big subject, but the elements are a big part of that. So with our walks, we would take the guests outside, and then we would stop and maybe touch one of the leaves, the site, and then I explain which plant it is.
Okay.
So that's, again, all awareness, because not many people are that interested in the plants, because there's so many. A lot of them look the same. It's a little frustrating, but if you just keep to the ones which is what I've done over the years, the real obvious ones, such as, say, the cabbage tree plant. We have a lot of those at Govinda Valley, and a lot all over the Illawarra. So that would be one that I would move towards and explain, the history of it. And
so nature.
Yeah.
When you're walking, as you said, you're getting your physical exercise, and it's great for your mind.
Yes.
It's great for your body. It's great for you spiritually.
Yes.
Because it's out nature.
Yeah. So again, if people were just aware on how good it can be for you, for your health, it's another dimension of why you would go out and bushwalk. And of course, a lot of people, if not everyone, loves to chat when they're walking.
Yes.
So we try to, when we can, to prevent that by offering the meditative walk, so they can become more aware.
Okay, so there's different aspects what you do, but in generally, nature is great. Bushwalking is healthy.
That's the simplest, because everyone knows how to do that.
Okay, and leads to simple there. All right, so there you have it, Wendy's 3 top tips. And we look forward to that walk as soon as we are out of the lockdown.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us, Wendy.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.